Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Saturday, March 22nd. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you. We're back after a one-day hiatus, and nice to have a day without doing the show. We did the Pittsburgh-Columbus breakdown on the Thursday show, so we could give ourselves a day off, especially with all the college basketball going on. But we are back, and lots of college basketball going on today, but I am definitely into this Saturday NHL card. It is a great card. We've got such huge matchups throughout the course of the day with playoff implications on the line. So plenty to get talking about here as far as the Saturday goes. I'm just going to say briefly, Columbus, another loss last night, Alex. It's looking like this team has kind of hit kind of a physical wall right now as far as their playoff push. And it's just not looking like a team that has that final we're down to the home stretch here, inside a month left in the regular season, and it's looking like Columbus is just running out of gas. They're obviously struggling again defensively, which of course has been their issue the last couple of years, has been the defensive end of things, and certainly they had their problems last night. You have to give Pittsburgh credit too, not mailing it in down the stretch of the season. It's been a nice week or two for them, no question about that. And I said, with Sidney Crosby as your captain, how do you not play hard? And they're playing hard. I mean, too little, too late. But like I said, Pittsburgh has certainly stepped up and done a nice little job in the spoiler role of late, including last night with that win against Columbus. Alex, anything to add about last night's game?
Oh yeah, we were just talking off air a little bit about Columbus, and this was a hell of a run that they put on. This is a team that we thought with all the tragedy and all the moves that this was going to be kind of another squash year for them. The fact that they were even in the playoff race, and they had you had the exciting Stadium Series game. You had some bright moments for this franchise that has had a lot of dark moments, especially in recent years. So you can't hang your head low if you're a Jackets fan, if you're a player on that team, because this has been a hell of a run. And like I said, you're still in it. It's not over yet, but it looks to, the writing seems to be on the wall for them. But they have the nucleus, and we were talking about too with Kekalainen, the former GM. He didn't make the big splash moves with the big team, with the NHL team. But the drafting and some of these guys that they brought in, the Matthew Olivier's, and a lot of these guys that we saw come up through that AHL team in Cleveland, and they made playoff runs. They've really developed a lot of these guys well. So Columbus is not in as bad of a spot as it looked like it would be at the beginning of this season, even as just a full organization.
Yeah, no question. And like I said, going to be interesting to see. Again, they're definitely ahead of schedule. This is not a bad season or disappointing season if they miss the playoffs. This is this is phenomenal. I mean, they're probably thrilled. Hey, we're just glad we're in a race here. We've got meaningful games down the stretch. They'll be disappointed because they were in a playoff spot at one point, but it's not like, wow, this is such a disappointment. What's wrong with this team? It's not going to be that kind of attitude for Jackets fans if they indeed fall short and miss the playoffs here this year. All right, let's get into Saturday. It is a monster card here on this Saturday. We've got a whopping, as I counted up here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 games here on this slate. And we'll begin with one of the bigger games because it's a playoff implications type of game. Both teams battling for the wild card spot in their respective conferences. The Vancouver Canucks taking on the New York Rangers. Rangers minus 155, home favorites. The total here sitting at 5.5, heavily shaded to the under. So definitely talking about a game where a lot of people expect goals to be few and far between. I think I can get on board with that. Now, the Rangers-Leafs game went over the total the other night, but I think this game could definitely be one of those games that takes on a bit of a playoff intensity type of mindset here, defense first for both sides. So I get why the total here, 5.5, and heavily juiced to the under. What I don't get is why the Rangers are this big of a favorite. Actually, I guess I kind of get it from a scheduling standpoint. This is a West Coast team in Vancouver playing at a 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific local time start. I totally get that. But I'm seeing just so much more fight, hunger, heart, guts, and resilience from the Vancouver Canucks right now than I'm seeing from the New York Rangers. They're not battling. They're soft. Great call, John Massey. Sam Rosen's going to have his ceremony before the game. Shout out to the legend. What a career. As it winds down, they're going to have his ceremony, and it's very interesting that they picked the Canucks-Rangers game to do it. I don't think that's by accident, because that was the 1994 Stanley Cup final won by the New York Rangers. So what? Sam Rosen's going to get honored, and now all of a sudden it's going to take that for the New York Rangers to show some desire and some passion and some heart here in this game? Perhaps, but I'm certainly not interested at minus 155 here in this game. Not at this price. It's an outrageous price to be laying this with the New York Rangers right now. Now, Vancouver's in a tough spot. They are, because it's an early start time. But certainly I did sprinkle. I can't resist sprinkling on Vancouver at this price, plus 135 in this game. I actually think the draw is not a bad option here in this game as well. There's a lot. This is a draw. If you love draw bets, you're going to love me. And you might even love Al. I don't know what Alex likes with the draws today, but I know I love a lot of draws today on this slate. And this is one of them. Again, it sets up well. Vancouver and the Rangers are in their own races. If the Canucks get a point, it's not going to bother the Rangers. And if the Rangers get a point, it's not going to bother the Canucks. So I'm going to start the day with a Canucks sprinkle on the money line, plus 135, as well as the draw here, which you can get upwards of plus 320 on that. Alex, what do you think here, Canucks, Rangers?
Now, there are a lot of good draw season candidate spots today on the card, but I'm being a little bit selective with them. This is one I do like. At plus 310, it's not the greatest price in the world, but the situation, two teams battling for wild card spots, not in each other's way at all. Like I said, I would lean toward Rangers. You think if you're going to show up at home for any game, it's going to be the game where you're honoring Sam Rosen. But like you said, at this price, no way to back it. And team total is a little iffy too. Now, we saw Vancouver in St. Louis, that total for Vancouver's last game go all the way down to 5. The first 5 we've seen in God knows how long. And then that game
still. I'm mad I didn't bet over once it got to 5, quite honestly. Yep.
Then that's the thing. I grabbed the in game. So that might be the way I look at it here. If we get this goes to 4.5, within the first few minutes, no score, then I'll be looking for an over 4.5 here. But I like the draw as far as pregame bets go.
No doubt. Like I said, huge game, obviously, in the standings between these two teams. Lankinen and Shesterkin should be the goaltenders. No change for the Canucks. They're still without Hedel. That's the only main injury that they've got. Kaliev for the New York Rangers. Shesterkin confirmed. Lankinen not confirmed, but we're expecting it'll be him. There's no back-to-back for Vancouver, so probably expect him to find his way as the starting goaltender here for this early start afternoon affair. There's not much I really like as far as props go, because I don't think goals will be very easy to come by here. I will say Brock Besser, he's a streaky goal scorer. He's scored in back-to-back. Same with Panarin for the New York Rangers. And we've got a 5-game point streak for Quinn Hughes. We have a 6-game point streak for Elias Pettersson. So as much as he's been criticized, let's give him credit. He's on a 6-game point streak. So Elias Pettersson props, you could certainly maybe look at that direction. But again, be careful. I do think there's a lower scoring game. It's not a game you want to be peppering the board with a ton of goals, assists, and points props, in my opinion, at least. All right, Philadelphia, Dallas. We've got Dallas minus 300 home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. This is a Philadelphia Flyers team that, as we've talked about, they're struggling mightily right now. It's been a rough stretch for John Tortorella's team. 2-8 in their last 10, 1-8 in their last 9 games. The only win was a shootout win at home against Tampa when Johansson started in net for them. They're not scoring goals. They have scored 2 goals or less, this Flyers team, in 7 of their last 8 games. So it has not been pretty at all for this Flyers team right now. They get Dallas coming off a loss against Tampa Bay, and a loss that really, it's been building with Dallas for a while, that they've not played their best. You look at the losses to the best teams they've played on their schedule, with Colorado and Edmonton and Winnipeg and now Tampa. Like, they've lost to every recent great team they've played on their schedule. And then even in some of the wins that they got, the Anaheim game, they escaped and they didn't play great at all in that game. They won in overtime. They didn't play that great. It all came to a head with that Tampa game, because they got outshot 38-24. They got outworked. They got out-hustled. It looked like Tampa Bay was the more urgent team, desperate team, and Peter DeBoer let his team have it in the post-game press conference after that game. He wasn't like yelling and screaming, but he was not happy. He said, this has been, we've been leaking for a little bit. He said after that game, we need our best players to step up, be better. It's not a good sign when your youngest defenseman and your fourth line are the guys that have played the best for you in this game. So that's not at all what you want to see, certainly from the Dallas Stars. If there's ever a spot Dallas is going to wake up and after getting a little bit of a reprimand from their head coach, and I agree, this has been festering for a while with Dallas, that they've just not been. There's another level this team's capable of. We have not been seeing that from them lately. First of all, it sounds like if they're going to show it, it's today after what their coach said. And second of all, Philly's horrible right now. So I think it's a nice spot to get involved with Dallas. We're going to sprinkle a bunch of Dallas bets here, just smaller, rather than putting it all in one. We're going to go with a Stars first period puck line at a plus price. We're going to do the Stars team total over 1 and over 1.5 in the first period team total. We like doing that now, especially when we think a team's going to come out strong, which I think the Stars will. And we're also going to take the team total over 3.5 for the full game with Dallas here. Fedotov is just, you don't know what you're going to get from him one night to the next for the Flyers. They haven't been good defensively of late. So this is a spot for Dallas to step up and hammer a bad team, a struggling team. Let's see if they're capable of it, because all the signs point to Dallas getting a wake-up call, courtesy of what Pete DeBoer said after the game against Tampa Bay. Alex, what do you think here? Flyers, Stars?
Yeah, love this Dallas team total. We got 3.5 over minus.
That's the best of the bunch, in my opinion. All the other looks are smaller for me. The full game team total is the best one. Yep.
Yeah, and I also dabbled on the over by factor smaller, a little heavier to the first period over, seeing the minus 115 at BetMGM. Also liking Dallas to go with the first goal of the first period. That's minus 118 as well at BetMGM. I played that rather than playing the over 1 or 1.5 looks for Dallas.
One thing about Dallas, too, they've scored at least 4 goals 4 straight times they've hosted the Philadelphia Flyers here in Dallas. They've scored at least 4 in 4 straight home games against the Philadelphia Flyers going back years. And like I said, you're right. I watched a lot of that Tampa game. That was not the finest moment for the top line of Jason Robertson, Rope Hintz, and Mikko Rantanen. They did not play that well. They were very unnoticeable here. So I think when you look at this matchup here with Dallas, I think kind of that's what Peter DeBoer was talking about in particular, that line, and getting them going a little bit. So again, we'll see if they respond to the coach. That's what these bets are all about. There's a bad hockey team coming in here. You just got called out by your coach. You're the better team. You know it. Show it. And we'll see if the Dallas Stars can do that here today. And finally play a great game against a weaker team, because this team has played down to their competition too often at times. We'll see if they change that here today. All right, Buffalo and Minnesota. We've got the Minnesota Wild minus 140. Home favorites in this game. The total currently sitting at 5.5. This is an interesting total. Buffalo 5.5 makes you want to hammer the over, because Buffalo 5.5 seems cheap. Minnesota 5.5. Even at 5.5, you're not rushing to bet Minnesota these days over the total, because they're playing this tight, conservative, defensive style of game, still with all the injuries that are going on right now. So, like I said, when I look at this matchup here, it's a very big conflict as far as the total for me. I want to bet it over with Buffalo. I'm not rushing to do that with Minnesota. You look at Buffalo, they played hard against Utah. Don't be fooled by the 5-2 score. In fact, they were leading at one point in that game. Utah had a big third period. They beat Boston and Vegas in overtime and a shootout before that. So the Sabres, have been the efforts there. They're not very good, we know, but the effort's been there. Minnesota, again, credit to John Hines. Look, we've never been the biggest John Hines fans, at least certainly not me, but you look at the injuries here. My goodness, with Kaprizov out and Eriksson Ek out, Marcus Foligno's missed the last few games. And it's getting worse now because, and Brodin, of course, has been out as well for the last handful of games. But it's getting worse, believe it or not, potentially for the Minnesota Wild, because Marcus Johansson, was unavailable the other night against Seattle. Yet they still win 4-0. And if you thought it was already bad, Marco Rossi, lower body injury for him in that game against the Seattle Kraken the other night. So how many more bodies can you lose and still keep your head above water and win games if you're the Minnesota Wild? That's definitely the question you have to ask yourself. And let's say they don't have Kaprizov back today. There's still no Eriksson. I don't think Brodin's going to be back. Foligno's still out. But what if Johansson and especially Rossi's the one that would really hurt. What if they both don't play today? This suddenly becomes a very tough, a game that Buffalo can win. However, this is Buffalo after all. Can we really fully trust them? But that's kind of why the money's come in on Buffalo here. It's just all these injuries that the betting markets kind of think this is finally where it's just too much to overcome for the Minnesota Wild. Yes, that might be true, but it's also potentially too much to overcome against a team like the Buffalo Sabres that aren't exactly very trustworthy and reliable. So I think, believe it or not, I leaned at Buffalo more than I leaned to Minnesota here. But what I do like is the draw. This is another draw that I like quite a bit. In fact, I think it's going to be a tough game for Minnesota. Let's not forget Buffalo has gone to overtime or a shootout 2 of the last 3 games. And look at this history with the Wild versus the Sabres. We have seen 5 of the last 9 head-to-head meetings go past regulation. And we have seen not 1, not 2, but how about 3 straight head-to-head meetings at XL Energy Center between the Sabres and the Wild go past regulation. 3 straight here in this building between the Sabres and Wild have gone past regulation. So give me this draw. I think we have a chance for OT. Alex, what do you think here, Buffalo, Minnesota?
Yeah, that's the only thing I can really look at here. Like I said, plus 320, plus 325, the prices I'm seeing with that. I'd roll with the draw there too, based on that history. These are 2 sides you can't really back right now. Minnesota's been in kind of poor form. Don't want to lay a price with them. And I can't bet Buffalo in any kind of way right now. I know, like I said, they've shown some life, and people in the chat are saying that too, that they play a little bit better once they're officially out of the playoffs. So there may be spots where I jump on them, but this isn't the spot here. I'm gonna roll with the draw.
Yeah, I like the draw more than anything here. No, there's no question about that. The draw is the superior option here, in my opinion, in this one. And as far as props go, Ryan Hartman, man, I'm telling you, he's the one guy left that you maybe have some offense that you can trust in right now. But Ryan Hartman, streaky. How many times have we said that about him? 2-game point streak, 2-game goal streak. You get him in bargain bin price range here, plus 340 as well to find the back of the net. So we're back to the old Ryan Hartman goal prop look. Ryan McLeod, someone to go with for Buffalo. 5-game point streak for him. Scored in the last game as well. So whether it's plus 400 goal or the assist prop, you could go with that for Ryan McLeod at plus 220, or you can just take the point prop, which is plus money at plus 126. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's on a 5-game point streak, and you can get plus money for him to get a point in this game for the Buffalo Sabres, Ryan McLeod. So that's definitely something to keep in mind here as far as some of the props to maybe peruse and take advantage of here in this one. All right, we go to the Midway City, St. Louis, and they host the Chicago Blackhawks. Blues minus 320, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. When St. Louis is playing meaningful games, I'm telling you what, that Enterprise Center, it gets rocking. That was a great atmosphere for Canucks Blues the other night, and that place erupted when Philip Broberg got the overtime winner to beat the Vancouver Canucks the other night. So playoff atmosphere. I guess the only concern with this game is St. Louis. That was like a playoff game in March for them, and a huge 2 points for them against Vancouver, although they cost themselves going up 2 points on Vancouver because they let Vancouver and Besser. Unbelievable how that finished in the third period, that the Blues conceded the tying goal with just 2 seconds left. But it was a brilliant play to get the puck zipped across the ice to Brock Besser to tie that game. It's a huge point that they missed in terms of not winning that and not finishing it in regulation for the Vancouver Canucks, or for the St. Louis Blues. But they do win in overtime. They are technically in the second wild card spot in the Western Conference entering today. Could there be an emotional hangover from this game? Yes. So if you want to maybe take a shot, Chicago scores in the first period. This is that minus 300 angle that we talk about, that maybe it's worth a look here, potentially for Chicago to score in the opening period of this game. I think I could get there with that. That's about it. I don't know if I trust the Blackhawks for the full 60 minutes here in this game, but they could catch the Blues, early, because that was just such an intense game for them the other night against Vancouver. Binnington is expected in net for St. Louis. Of course, Colton Parayko still out. Arvid Soderblom is going to get the start here for the Chicago Blackhawks as they continue to go mostly back and forth with their goaltending. Colton Dach out for them. So I mentioned Chicago scoring in the first, but what I like more than that in this game, and if you do your look into the series history, you know why I like these looks. Look at the series history. It's been 4 straight full game overs with the Blackhawks and the Blues. And I also went back and looked first period overs in the series. How about 6 straight Blues Blackhawks games? 6 straight have gone over in the first period between these two teams. So this is an over by Fecta spot for me. Over 1.5, over 5.5. I know the Blues are trying to play playoff style hockey. The points are meaningful for them. They may want to play a little bit of a tighter brand of hockey, but I think that shows up more against the teams that they're battling with. These weaker teams like a Chicago. I think this might be a little bit of a looser environment defensively here for the St. Louis Blues. Plus the Blues offense, yes, Brewski, it's humming. It's another reason why I like it. So over by Fecta for me here, over 1.5, over 5.5. Yeah, Blues team total over 3.5. Jonathan, I've got a piece of that as well. It's a weird approach in this game. I've got a little bit of everything going on. It's like putting all the ingredients in the bowl for making a meal and hoping the recipe turns out good. Because I got Blackhawks to score in the first. I have the Blues team total over 3.5 for the full game. And then I've got the over by Fecta here in this one. So 4 bets pregame. Alex, what do you think here? Chicago, St. Louis.
So, yeah, I have the over trifecta. I added both teams to score in the first period along with first period over.
You could see it.
And then also I took a shot with Hawks first goal the first period. You can get plus 200 with that at BetMGM. So theory is that Hawks can get the first goal. Then we looked at bet Blues to score second and kind of zigzag from there. So that's the way I'm looking for that. Hawks to score first goal in the first period plus 200 to go with first period over. First period, both teams to score and full game over.
All right. Yeah, there we go. Good stuff. And as far as props in this game, we've talked about how the Blues are really feeling it right now. As far as offense, Holloway, our guy, he's on a 5-game point streak. Dylan Holloway scored in the last game as well. He's been terrific. Zach Bolduc, we've talked about him, a bit of an under-the-radar goal prop guy lately. Holloway, 5-game point streak. Kyrou, 4-game point streak right now for the St. Louis Blues. Tyler Bertuzzi, 2-game point streak. I think both of those were assists. Bedard, 2-game point streak for him. So those are some of the ones that are on a bit of a run lately. Yeah, we didn't get Jake Neighbors last game, but I still think he's worth a look today. He's not bargain bin today, Jake, but still worth a look. Won't you be my neighbor, Jake Neighbors, as far as a goal prop in this game. All right, Carolina, Los Angeles. We've got pretty much even money here, minus 110 both sides, Canes and Kings, as the Carolina Hurricanes continue their West Coast California trip. 5.5 the total. This total is heavily shaded to the under between these two teams. I think it's a low-scoring game too. You would expect that Darcy Kemper is going to be in net here for the LA Kings at home. We expect Kochetkov for Carolina. It's not confirmed yet, but that's what we're expecting here anyway, is a Kemper-Kochetkov matchup. Carolina, man, they just continue to play really solid hockey. Svechnikov, by the way, probably misses this game once again. He's missed the last 4 for Carolina. But my gosh, what a run this team's been on. They've won 8 in a row. They have not lost since the trade deadline. Remember, going into the trade deadline, they played Winnipeg, and they're 5-0 since the trade deadline. They beat Winnipeg, Tampa Bay, Detroit at home, and then they've started this road trip blanking the Flyers, and then a 3-1 win against San Jose the other night. Thank you to San Jose, by the way. That was a beautiful result. Carolina wins 3-1, but we got from San Jose, we got out of them what we wanted, and that's them to score in the first period, which they were able to do in that game. So definitely appreciated that. this looks like a cheap price to me with LA, but Carolina's on a roll. They haven't lost since the trade deadline. I like the vibes with the Hurricanes right now, so I'm not fading them. I'm not betting on them though, because this is pretty good value for the Kings at home, where they've played their best hockey here going into this game. But like I said, just a pass for me. I don't want to go against either side here. I think it's a low-scoring game. I agree with this being under 5.5. Kemper's numbers have been phenomenal at Crypto.com Arena all season long. I think this could take on a bit of a lower-scoring, tighter checking type of game between these two teams. But this is another one on this is another draw for me here with the Canes and the Kings. It sets up perfectly. East versus West matchup. I expect this to be a very close, competitive battle between these two teams. Last year in LA, the game went to a shootout between these two teams. 2 of the last 4 meetings have gone past regulation. So this is another game that's on the draw menu for me here. Kings and Hurricanes to go past 60 minutes here in this one. Alex is there. He is. He's back with us now. That happens with both of us. We bounce out every now and then during this show. But Alex, I'm on another draw here. Anything you like? Carolina, LA.
No, this is one where I'm actually going to wait live. I'm seeing that this first period total now has crossed already in the plus money territory. 5.5. They're expecting a kind of low and slow game, so I think this could be one where we might see actually some sneaky scoring. So I'm going to wait and watch this one and look for a live bet on the over by effectiveness.
The one thing I will say is I mentioned how, and I like the draw, and I mentioned that the game in LA last year, Carolina, Los Angeles, went to a shootout. It was a 6-5 game. That's the bizarre thing. It was actually a crazy high-scoring game. So maybe there is some credence. Maybe we will get the goals. Doesn't feel like it. Both of these teams are playing very good defensive hockey, especially Carolina right now. The one thing about Carolina is even old man Freddie Anderson's playing well right now, and so is Kochetkov, who's expected to be in net today. So they've got their goaltending humming right now. And like I said, Kemper's been just immaculate here at home all season long. His numbers are phenomenal here at home. So that's why I feel it could be low scoring. But like I said, I like the draw more than anything here. All right, next up, we've got Calgary taking on the New York Islanders. Islanders minus 125, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. I mean, the Islanders, man, here they are, 2 points out of the wild card after the overtime win against Montreal the other night. 72 points, tied with the Rangers, 2 back of Montreal, 5 back of Ottawa, the 2 teams that hold the wild card spots in the Eastern Conference. So you got to give the Islanders credit. They're that net. You swat them away and they keep coming back. They just can't get out of your way. We'll see if they can keep it going here. Calgary, what a win for them, and I thank them for it. We took a shot at the big plus price with the Flames against New Jersey the other night. What a third period. 4 goals unanswered. Zary, Miramonov, Huberdeau, and then Kadri into the empty net to put it away and turning a 3-1 deficit into a 5-3 win. No doubt the best win of the year for the Calgary Flames, given the importance of the 2 points, given the fact that you were down 3-1 going into the third period, and to rally back like that. That was as impressive as it gets. Can they keep it going? We'll see. It's one of those games, again, I think Calgary, I lean that way, but I'm kind of done going against the Islanders. Have a little mojo going right now at this point in time. And that was a huge comeback. Do they maybe fall a little bit off today, Calgary, after the huge momentous rally from behind in the third period against New Jersey? That is a bit of a concern. What I'd be concerned about for the Islanders, though, is Hogberg in net. I don't trust this guy. He lost 4-1 to Anaheim the last time he started back on March the 9th. He's going to get the start here. I guess they feel they're going to rest Sorokin here in this game. I actually think this game could be this is my sneaky over. Alex talked about how he kind of thought the 5.5 in the Kings game could go over. This is the game that I think sneaky 5.5 could go over the total. Calgary, offense has started to percolate, with that third period against New Jersey. And I talked about it. Cashed a best bet with Montreal Islanders over the total the other night on the show. The reason I liked it is because the Islanders are scoring right now. Horvat's picking it up. Dobson has been big. Duclair, Simon Holmstrom, who I'm going to talk about again. How good has he been lately for the New York Islanders? Like, the Islanders have some offense right now. They're producing right now. They're scoring goals as a team. That's been a big reason why they've been winning lately. They've scored 4 goals now in 3 straight games. And all three of those games went up and over the total. So I'm going to go with the draw here. I think it's a nice draw candidate. Again, perfect situation. Calgary and the Islanders don't care if the other team gets points. They're in their own conferences, their own races. So I like the draw here, and I like over 5.5. Those are going to be the two bets here for me. Alex, what do you think here? Another very big game in a slew of them on this Saturday, playoff implications-wise. Calgary, New York Islanders.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. I think this is going to be a kind of back and forth goal fest. I like the over here too, that 5.5. And like I said, two goalies you can't really trust. Vladar's been sharp at times, but we know he's shakier on the road as that whole team is. And like I said, the Owls finally getting some momentum, and Hogberg gives them a different look. Like, he's not necessarily the best goalie they have, obviously. So that's certainly Sorokin. But compared to, you had Varlamov, who was, getting older, and now I think he's pretty much done at this point. You had Skarek and some of those other guys that were down in that Bridgeport rotation. So he's really the best backup option you have. And 2 and 3, decent numbers, but like you said, that's concerning if you're trying to be in a playoff race, you can't give up 4 or 5 goals to some of the weaker teams in the league. So you'll need him to make some big saves. But I think this is one where we see goals. So I like that over as well. I'll probably add a little bit more on in-game, being that it's at a $1.15 price, try to grab some plus money with that, but also on the draw. Plus 330, I think that's a fantastic price. It's one I like quite a bit.
5-2, by the way, is the over in the series in the last 7. And in New York, again, for the games that have been here in UBS Arena, or in Long Island, I should say, the last 3 were 5-2, 5-2, 4-3, 5-2. So, yeah, it's been oddly, you wouldn't expect necessarily Flames and Islanders to be high scoring recent games, but you had 3 straight overs here in this building I should say not this building, because I think one of them may have been Nassau Coliseum, but like I said, we've seen that, no doubt. See, that's a comment, Bailey, with the cannot bet overs in playoff type games. Vancouver St. Louis went over. Montreal Islanders went over. Those were playoff type games.
Plenty of actual playoff games.
There's going to be unders, no doubt.
Yeah.
But you also have to look at the form. Islanders are in good offensive form right now. We don't have fucking Mike Vernon in his prime versus, Tommy Salo here in this matchup here with Flames and Islanders. We got suspect goaltenders here. Is it Wolf? I don't know. I thought I'm with Alex.
I saw
Vladar. I'm pretty sure it's Vladar today. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems Vladar probable. Hogberg confirmed. So
yeah. Yeah, I expected it to be Vladar. I would get a little more leery with the over if it is Wolf, but like I said, it's just, look, there's definitely going to be games where it's 2 playoff teams, and I could definitely see it being low scoring. But the reason why I'm leaning over like the over here is, again, because of what we're seeing form-wise offensively from these teams. We're seeing good offense from, especially the Islanders right now. That's also why I'm not on Calgary, because we're seeing good offense right now from the Islanders.
And I got to look back, but I think the Flames in day games have been more of a higher scoring team as well. So
feels right, because I know they played some games in Calgary too, in afternoons on weekends in the past, and they've kind of, exactly, they've been a little bit higher scoring, no doubt. All right, let's roll along here. Florida and Washington. And by the way, Holmstrom props. I forgot to mention that, but he's my number 1 prop right now in this game, either side. Simon Holmstrom. He's been just he's picked it up big time. He's taken advantage of being up there, I believe, on the top line for them, and he's making the most of it right now for the New York Islanders. Florida, Washington. We've got -110, even money both sides, 5.5 being the total here in this game. What a game, obviously. I don't really want to go against either of these teams right now, either Panthers and Capitals here in this matchup. Should be this just. It's just definitely one where I feel like I'm just going to sit it out. It's 2 really good hockey teams. Washington, by the way, has gotten the better of Florida twice this year. Washington won in Florida 4-1 in November. Washington won 6-3 at home last month in February. Don't think Florida doesn't know that. I think Florida's aware they're probably 0-2 against the Caps this year. So I'd expect Florida to bring a good effort. They haven't been great. On the road trip, they lost to Boston. They barely beat Toronto. Montreal and the Islanders, they lost back-to-back. They squeaked past struggling Columbus 1-0 in overtime in their last game. And still very banged up, Florida, as well. We have to keep that in mind. Ekblad, Kulikov, Marchand, They're all still out for this team. Bobrovsky and Sergei Bobrovsky, Logan Thompson, projected goaltenders, but nothing confirmed as of yet. We'll see how this one plays out. Washington is coming back from a 3-2 win against Philly. They've won 2 straight here at home since coming back from the California swing. They do go on the road for Winnipeg and Minnesota after this, having won the previous 2 games. I'll be honest, if I throw out a lean, it feels to me it could be a Florida win here. Just it feels that way to me. Like they finally won a game. Washington's going on the road after this. Florida's gone 0 for 2 against Washington this year. I think they know it. It wouldn't surprise me if the Panthers play a good game. But like I said, I'm Washington minus 110 at home. That doesn't feel like value to me to jump in and fade this team, and especially with them still playing with that energy to try to push the grade 8 Alex Ovechkin even closer to breaking Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal-scoring record. He's getting so closer. And obviously, we will sprinkle, as we often do, on the last goal prop for Ovechkin here in this one. Alex, obviously, great. Now, these are 2 teams that are safely in the playoffs. This is just about positioning it. Like Washington's home and clear. But for Florida, these are big points. They're trying to hang on to first in the Atlantic, but should be a good one. Florida, Washington.
Yeah, when you talk about playoff style hockey and a game that could maybe go under, this is the game I would kind of look at. Now there are some trends that lean to this going over in the first period. So this is one where maybe I look to bet that live, and then we cash that, we come right back and grab a full game under. I think that's the kind of spot I can see. And I can see where if certainly we do have some goals early, the pace will kind of come down and this becomes more of a defensive kind of battle. So might end up sprinkling a little bit on draw as well, but this will be a good live game. And like you said, Washington, rolling with that, the Ovechkin energy as well at home. This is a team that, they just have a kind of just different spark to them at home. And we're getting a good price for Ovechkin anytime goal, plus 144. See it at FanDuel, plus 900 for that last goal. So I certainly will be adding both of those to my card. And then, like I said, looking for an under in game off of potentially a first period over.
Yeah, no doubt. Should be a good one, though. I'm looking forward to this one. Obviously, one of the games of the day between these 2 teams. Prop-wise, Ovechkin, Protas, 3-game point streaks for Washington. Barkov, Reinhart, 2-game point streaks for Washington. And for Florida, rather, Barkov, Reinhart. Seth Jones got a point in the last game. Seth Jones has points in 3 of the last 5. So talked about how Seth Jones stepping into that Aaron Ekblad role. Top pair and getting a lot of the power play time. So Seth Jones, continues to be certainly someone to maybe target here as far as props are concerned. Barkov with goals in back-to-back games for the Washington Capitals as well. Dylan Strom's been heating up as far as goal scoring of late. Of course, I always say Protas is worth a look. Sam Miskevich, I think, has still got solid value. He's scored in 3 of the last 5 for Florida. PLD, yeah, you know me. Pierre-Luc Dubois, worth a look as well. Potentially. So there's a few of the props here that I think I took a glance at, probably sprinkle on prior to puck drop in this one. All right. This, if you can believe it, this next game is the last of the afternoon games. There's more afternoon games today than evening games, and that is very rare for a Saturday. But this is the last of the afternoon games. 8 afternoon games. This is the 8th and final one. Tampa Bay, Utah. We've got Tampa Bay minus 115 road favorites. The total here sitting at 6 pretty much across the board in this one. Tampa Bay, obviously. Now, Utah's playing for their playoff lives, so this is absolute desperation for them to try to get these points. Meanwhile, though, for the Tampa Bay Lightning, the points are still valuable for them because they are in a spot where right now they're 3rd in the Atlantic, 2 points behind both Florida and Tampa Bay. What a race it is for that first place spot in the Atlantic Division right now. But there's no doubt Tampa Bay wants it because whoever wins the Atlantic is not going to have to play the Tampa, Toronto, Florida trio in the first round. Whoever wins the Atlantic Division is going to be able to take their chance playing, Ottawa, Montreal, Islanders, take your pick. Whoever's going to land in that first wild card spot. Washington's going to get the second wild card team, but the Atlantic Division winner is going to play wild card 1 in the first round, and you would just rather take your chances with an Islanders or Ottawa or Montreal rather than obviously Tampa or Florida or any of those. So, like I said, it's just that's why it's important to try to win this division. Tampa Bay still does have a chance to do that here. And like I said, that's why the points are valuable. Obviously, the points are huge for Utah. They are currently sitting just 4 points back of St. Louis for the second wild card spot. St. Louis has it with 77 points. Utah sitting at 73. Utah does have a game in hand on St. Louis, though, which is the good thing. There's another one I'd lean draw. This one I kind of lean to Utah, though, because I kind of feel like this could be a spot for them to step up here in this game against. They've been better at home lately. And here's another thing another reason why I'm leaning to Utah. I've not seen it confirmed yet, but there is no Vasilevsky confirmation yet. When I start to see, and this is a pattern with John Cooper. We go this close to puck drop, and we don't see Vasilevsky confirmed yet. It makes me think maybe Jonas Johansson's going to start. And obviously, if that's the case, the advantage swings to Utah a little bit. Because the last time we saw Johansson in net, he lost to a Philadelphia team that, hasn't won since? Yeah, that's what happened the last time Johansson was in net. They lost to the Flyers in a shootout. Flyers haven't won since. So if it is Johansson here, I'm probably going to move on Utah here, getting the job done. Alex, what do you think here? Lightning, Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah, this is definitely a game where you got to wait for the goaltending matchup, because if this is Vasilevsky, I'm leaning toward that draw. I'm seeing it plus 340 best price. But if we have somebody else in that, I'm seeing which is somebody Tampa recalled another goalie. I haven't gotten any word on that. I'm just still see Johansson and Vasilevsky. So if it's Johansson, then I would be looking toward Utah. Maybe looking for some live overs there as well. But this definitely should be an interesting game. And like you said, Tampa Bay has got something to fight for. Utah's got something to fight for. So this definitely fits the draw season mold. So I more than likely will probably still end up grabbing a little piece of it, even if it's Johansson confirmed. But I like it more if it's Vasilevsky, obviously.
Yeah, no doubt. That's definitely the way I'm feeling about this game. That definitely like it. Definitely like the draw more if it's Vasilevsky. I prefer Utah more if it's Jonas Johansson, and probably might even run back that Utah team total. Cashed with it against Buffalo the other night, and if it's Johansson, I might run that back as well. As far as the team total over 3.5 here for Utah in this game. As far as props, there are a couple that stand out to me here with Tampa and Utah. Again, I'm not betting this game yet until we find out who's in net. So I haven't moved on anything officially, but I'm telling you what I'm going to be looking at depending on the situation. Logan Cooley on a 3-game point streak right now for the Utah Hockey Club. So goal or assist, anything Logan Cooley. Certainly I wouldn't talk anyone out of that right now. Him and Gunther have been great. No question. One thing to keep an eye on too is he scored again the other night. Kevin Stenlund. I just picked him at the wrong time to bet him the one night, but plus 950, 3 of the last 5 games he scored, and he scored against Buffalo the other night. So, like I said, Kevin Stenlund's been one of those sneaky. Yeah, Jonathan apparently is confirming Brandon Halverson has been recalled. I think we're getting Johansson. I think we're getting Johansson today. It's starting to seem that way to me. And remember, this is a guy they want to pace down the stretch. Yes, they want to win the division, but they don't want to run Vasilevsky into the ground like we're seeing with UPL, like we're seeing with the guy that's going to start here for Utah probably once again today, Karel Vejmelka, who has just played a shit ton. That's kind of why I lean over. I'm not betting an under in this game. I kind of do lean over, but I'm waiting on that Jonas Johansson confirmation before moving on that. Okay, there you go. So that's the afternoon slate. Now we'll get into the evening slate. And we will begin the evening part of the card with Toronto and Nashville. We've got Toronto minus 170 road favorites, and the total here sitting at 5.5 across the board in this one. So this is just there's no fucking chance in hell I'm betting Nashville. It's do you bet Toronto? That's the decision. The decision is not anything to do with Nashville. It's do you bet Toronto? Do you trust Toronto to beat down a team that is completely inept right now? The Nashville Predators. They're awful. They're terrible. They suck. They're dog shit. I mean, I don't know what more I can say about Nashville. That's why I didn't get sucked into saying, oh, look at Nashville laying this price. Don't get involved with Anaheim here. Nashville's a big favorite for a reason. Bull. They had no business being that price the other night against the Anaheim Ducks. And Anaheim went in there, and they gave up the first goal, and then they just took over and they won 3-1. I think they even had a goal called back, Anaheim, in that game the other night. So, this is just, now it's minus 170, but Nashville's unbettable, unbackable for me. It's you either take Toronto or pass. I did bet Toronto in regulation, small. These are the spots the Leafs have stumbled in the past. We know that, but I think a bit of a different mindset. They've played very well the last couple games, bouncing back, beating Colorado, beating actually 3 in a row, beat Calgary, beat Colorado, and beat, obviously, the Rangers on Thursday night. The only concern, too, is 3 games in 4 nights. So the schedule, it's been a busy week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. So if you actually look at it, it's 4 games in 6 for Toronto. So this is not a big bet, but a small bet, Toronto in regulation. But no chance in hell is any of my money going on the Nashville Predators anytime soon. Alex, what do you think here, Leafs, Preds?
Yeah, with a big card, this game's a complete pass for me. Like I said, there's no way you can bet Trashville. It's hard to trust Toronto laying a price, and even with regulation, still, you're treading into some kind of deeper waters that I'd rather not. So, like I said, big card. There's other spots I like. This one's a pass.
Absolutely, no doubt. Yeah, and like I said, you could do. There we go. That's what Craig Berube said, and Craig Berube is doing the right thing. He's saying, hey, they've still got a bunch of great players on this team. He mentioned it in his press conference there, Stamkos and Marcia. So he's doing everything in his power, to keep this team focused. And because this was the Sheldon Keefe Leafs would lose this game, 100% they would. Too often they would lose a game like this. They have not been nearly as bad in regards to that so far here this year. So we'll see if that continues here in this game against Nashville. So a small Toronto in regulation for me. As far as props in this game, obviously mostly Toronto props because I'm not sure. I don't fully trust Nashville to do a bunch of scoring. They only scored 1 at home against Anaheim the other night. But McMahon and Domi and Robertson does more of his scoring on the road. So I always say sprinkle that trio, which has been very solid of late. And you hope that one of them is able to find the back of the net for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And if you do that, you're profitable. If just one of those 3 guys on that third line scores, you're going to end up being profitable. Matthew Nye scored the last game against the New York Rangers. He's back with Matthews and Marner. So keep an eye on that. McMahon is actually with Tavares and Nylander. It's actually Holmberg that's with Domi and Nick Robertson. So, and there are a couple former Leafs on Nashville, and that angle, if you want to buy into that, I could see it. O'Reilly, former Leaf, and of course Michael Bunting as well, both playing for the Nashville Predators. So certainly you could see that. And Tavares is not only on a roll, but as Jonathan Davis points out, he's had great success against UC Saros, and he has been good lately, Tavares. He's been finding the back of the net for the Leafs. I find he's playing one of his best seasons in a few years, and it's the burden of being the captain's not on his plate anymore. I really think that's helped him this year. John Tavares have a pretty solid season. 10 straight second period overs for Toronto as well. Something to point out. And by the way, we expect Saros and Woll to be the goaltending matchup here. It's not confirmed, but the projections are that's who we will see in between the pipes. All right, next up, Ottawa and New Jersey. We've got the New Jersey Devils minus 130, home favorites. The total here sitting at 5.5 across the board. Man, how things can change in just 2 losses. Ottawa looked like they were going to be home clear. Ottawa's definitely on the fast track to making the playoffs. Clearly ahead in the with the first wild card spot. And then all of a sudden, now they've lost back-to-back games this week, Ottawa, to the Montreal Canadiens. And then they got absolutely crushed by the Colorado Avalanche on Wednesday night, 5-1. Colorado clearly wasn't happy losing to Toronto the night before. So all of a sudden, back-to-back losses this week for Ottawa, and they are getting pulled back in a little bit, at least, to the second wildcard pack. They were like 6 points, 8 points even ahead of most of these teams. Now they're only 3 points up on Montreal, who have the second wild card, and 5 points clear of the 2 teams that are just outside looking in, the Islanders and the Rangers. So, that's the one thing when you're in a race like this. You don't want to let the losing streak linger. You want to nip it in the bud quickly. And coming off a debacle like they had against Colorado, I could definitely see Ottawa playing a better game tonight here in this one. I'm taking a shot with them at plus money here, plus 110. Buy low spot against New Jersey here, plus 110. And I don't mind that they're likely going to go with Forsberg. And I think they're going to go with Forsberg, give Allmark a rest. Allmark got pulled against Colorado. The whole team was terrible in that game early on. I mean, they just got chewed up and spit out by the Avs. And that game was over in the first period. And it was not all Linus Allmark's fault. That was a mercy pull by Travis Green to try to shake up the team. Forsberg finished that game. No confirmation he'll be in net, but I think it could be Forsberg. We'll have to wait and see. Or maybe, he figures, Travis Green, that, hey, I pulled Linus Allmark, but it was more so because, the team struggled in front of him. I'm going to go back to him. He's going to want to play well. He's going to want the crease. He's going to want to be back in there after getting pulled the other night. So I could see it going either way. There is no confirmation yet who will be in net for Ottawa. It will be Jake Allen. And the concern, I guess, taking Ottawa, and I am concerned about this, Jake Allen's playing great. He's playing really well. He's playing better than Jacob Markstrom right now. We saw it again. Jacob Markstrom loses another game, giving up that 4 goals to the Calgary Flames the other night. So, and that's also the thing you would expect from New Jersey. While Ottawa's not happy losing 2 in a row, you'd expect New Jersey not to be happy giving up a 3-1 lead to the Calgary Flames and then losing 5-3 the other night. So we'll see how this one plays out. This is one I could see being an under. Now, Ottawa, I know, has had some higher scoring games lately, but I think they know they need to tighten up. New Jersey's kind of been an under team with Jake Allen in recent starts. So the under, I could understand the sentiment there in this game with that. But I'm going to take a shot here just at the plus money with Ottawa here. I think Ottawa's done okay here in New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken, as well in the past. I remember them, I think, winning here earlier this year in New Jersey. But, you're off back-to-back losses. And the way they lost that game at home against Colorado, certainly you would think inspires a better performance here from the Ottawa Senators in this game. Yeah, Ottawa won in New Jersey 2-1 back in January. And both meetings this year were unders. New Jersey won 3-1 in Ottawa in October, and then Ottawa won 2-1 in New Jersey back in January. So the under, I could see it. And I know Ottawa's on a 7-1-2 overrun, but I do kind of get that gut feel it's a little tighter tonight between these two teams, especially because if Allmark's in, he's coming off getting pulled. He'll want to play better, and he's a good bounce-back goalie. Ottawa gave up 5 to Colorado, 4 in the first period. And we just saw New Jersey give up 4 in the third period and a loss to Calgary. They're going to want to tighten up too. So we'll see if that continues. So I get the under look as to why people may like that as far as the total here. Alex, what do you think here? Sens Devils.
Yeah, I went dog and draw split on this one. Like I said, plus 110. I think this is a buy low spot for an Ottawa team. And, New Jersey, like I said, they're kind of, it seems like they're somewhat firmly planted in the race. But then, like you said, everything changes on a day-to-day scale. So this is a game that they should take lightly, honestly. So plus 330, I think the draw is worth a look. But I lean more toward Ottawa. I think this is a more important game for Ottawa. So at plus 110, like I said, regardless of goalie, you'd rather have a focused Allmark who, coming off of getting pulled, should do well, or Forsberg, who's played solid in that. So I trust I have the goalie here today for Ottawa to get the win.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, that's a very interesting game. Prop-wise for that game, just want to throw out a couple of trends here regarding these teams. We've got Paul Cotter, Dylan Cousins, Nico Hischier, all on goal streaks. Point streak for Hischier, 5 straight. Steph Nason, 2 straight games with a point for him. Dylan Cousins, 2 straight games with a point for him. Dylan Cousins has become, one of the favorite goal and assist props, point props, anything you want with Dylan Cousins right now. He's been great since coming over from the Buffalo Sabres. So any props involving Cousins, I can understand that. There is value with Nason. You're right. He's back up the lineup again in that top line role for the New Jersey Devils. So that's certainly why his production, you could see it definitely increasing. All right, we've got Colorado, Montreal. Avalanche minus 180. Road favorites, 6 the total here in this game. Colorado continuing through this Eastern Canada swing. lost to Toronto. They bounced back, thump Ottawa 5-1, and now here they are in Montreal against a Canadiens team that, look, there's no doubt Colorado's the better team here. No doubt. But Montreal in this home dog role, how pesky they've been, how feisty they've been. And we know what's on the line for them, trying to hang on to this second wild card spot going into this game tonight. So I'm not willing to lay minus 180 here with Colorado. And Montreal, at times at least, they have been able to rise up against some of the better teams. You remember that stretch of games, when they really started to get this run put together earlier in the season. Remember when they went to Florida and they won? They went to Tampa and they won. They went to Vegas and they won. They went to Colorado and Washington. They beat all those teams. So they have had a track record. And they won in Colorado. So it's actually a revenge spot for for Colorado because they lost at home to the Montreal Canadiens earlier this year. But I just don't feel great about fading Montreal and laying a price like this against them when obviously the points are so important for them at this stage of the season. This draw could get there, quite honestly. I think I probably will sprinkle something on this draw. This wasn't on my radar initially, but, it went to a shootout in Colorado earlier this year. 3 straight meetings have been decided by 1 goal. And it is worth noting, Montreal got them here at home last year, 4-3. Montreal beat Colorado here. So I'm so tempted to take a shot here, plus 150, even though Colorado is playing well. I do like the draw. Draw's worth a look. May sprinkle on Montreal here as well. I think this could be an over too, just because I think with Colorado, the offense is percolating right now. Montreal's been trending a little bit to overs lately. 4 of the last 5 games have gone over the total between these two teams. And if you look at the games in Montreal, it's been a weird history of these two teams, Alex. 4 straight unders in Colorado, but the last 2 in Montreal, 4-3, 8-4. Huge overs the last 2 times in Montreal. So I'm probably going to go over 6 here with this game, with the Avs and the Habs here. And we look like, goaltending-wise, we are going to be seeing Blackwood and Montembeault. It is confirmed. Keep in mind, too, with Colorado, there's going to be nights defensively that they are not as strong. And it's going to show up that they're not as strong without Josh Manson. That is a big loss on the defensive end for them. He's one of the more physical, sturdy, block shots, clear the front of the net. They are going to miss him, and there's going to be times where Colorado's a little bit more vulnerable defensively without him, and especially against a speedy, skilled team like Montreal. So the over 6 for me, and we'll dabble small in the Habs and the draw in this one. Alex, what do you think here? Colorado, Montreal.
Yeah, I see a great trend in the trap. Montreal 9-3 to the first period over in their last 12 games. So at minus 130, I'll definitely take a shot with the first period over here.
Yeah, we'll do a
maybe.
Bifecta.
Yeah. As I say, maybe even dabble both teams to score. But I'm going to look for that full game over in game. But that 6, try and grab that. So I'll leave the 130 on the first period over pregame and try and grab over if 6 at plus money or 5.5, laying a price in game with that total. But I'm also on Habs and draw. Because I've been riding the Habs pretty much the entire time out of the break when they were plus money. So at plus 150, definitely take a shot there. But at plus 350 on the draw, that's worth a little sprinkle as well. It could be kind of if it's a back and forth game and it's close, tight. This wouldn't shock me. Maybe correct score 4-4.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something to throw a little beer money on as well. So definitely think this is going to be a fun, interesting game. Like I said, Habs play well at home. So going with the dog and draw split along with that first period over pregame and looking for the full game in game.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, the Avs are playing great. Yep. That's why it's small bets. We're not unloading the farm here on Montreal tonight, or the draw for that matter. But like I said, it's just I like the price. They've the one thing about Montreal, they've given you really good effort against the best teams most of the year. And I remember that was a great stretch. That's what got the belief going for Marty St. Louis' team. They could make a push for the playoffs when they went to Florida and won. They went to Tampa Bay and won. They went to obviously Vegas and Colorado and won. So. Like I said, big task here tonight against Colorado, but we'll see if they're up for it. I'm not a big parlay man, as you know, but if you want to do a point parlay in this game, you'll probably get a pretty good price with it too, because you've got huge point streakers on both sides. You've got Big Val Nichushkin for Colorado, 4-game point streak, Makar with a 3-game point streak, and Nick Suzuki's been great. He has been absolutely outstanding, playing like a captain for the Montreal Canadiens lately. No doubt about that. He's on a 2-game point streak, and even beyond that, he's played pretty well of late for the Montreal Canadiens. What I would look at doing here in this game is a point parlay of all 3 of those guys. And I'm going to put one together on the fly here right now and see what kind of price we get with that. Cale Makar, Big Val Nichushkin, and Nick Suzuki, plus 200 for the 3 of them. That's pretty good. Again, you've got Big Val on a 4-gamer, Cale on a 3-gamer, Suzuki 2 straight with a point. You put them all in a point parlay, plus 200 here in this. That's not bad. And we do expect goals. We both like over by Fecta here. So, I think that's worth a shot in this game. I like it. Yeah, we're locking that in. Oh, look at this. Bet365 safety net bet, which means, unfortunately, it's $10. I mean, that's it. That's not much of a bet you can put on that. But what that is that you could bet $10 on that same game parlay, and if it loses, you don't lose the money. That's why it's called a safety net bet. Yeah,
that's perfect. Yeah. And if with a parlay like that, like you said, okay, it's $10. It's not the biggest bet in the world, but with if you got a risk-free guarantee on that too, then why not?
Yeah,
if you have that,
take advantage of it.
Yeah,
exactly. So there you go. If you bet that same game parlay of Nichushkin, Makar, and Suzuki to get a point in that game, plus 200 at Bet365, they got the safety net bet, so you can throw the $10 on it, and it doesn't lose. Even if it does lose, you don't lose your money. That's a nice thing they offer every now and then. All right, next up as we continue along here, we've got 3 games left. The Detroit Red Wings taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas minus 220 home favorites, 6 the total. So, I've been a stickler for taking a shot with Detroit at times at these big prices. And I've done it twice with them against Washington, and they flopped both times. And I'm tempted to do it again here, and I don't think I'm going to. And here's why. Rapid revenge for Vegas, right? They just played in Detroit. It was the end of the road trip. It was an early game. Wasn't that TNT last Sunday? And they got shut out by Detroit. It was a tough spot. Now they get him in revenge here at home. I don't know if I trust Detroit enough. I think Bailey's approach is better. That if you like Detroit plus 1.5 for a little safety, I don't know if they're like if they win this game right now, the Detroit Red Wings, but it is more meaningful for them. Like, there's no doubt they need this game, and they need every game moving forward in the worst way, Detroit, because they are at 70 points. Remember, they are now behind the Islanders, the Rangers, and the Blue Jackets. We're talking about how the Blue Jackets are falling out of it. Detroit's 1 point behind Columbus. So it's getting to the point where it's vital for Detroit to pick up points every opportunity they can. This is not going to be easy. Vegas just got dummied by this team last week in a tough spot. They're going to want redemption. Kind of feel like I should stay off this. I might end up just passing this game altogether. Detroit's the only way I could play it, but how many times do I have to watch them stumble and bumble here on the road against the better teams? And that's kind of what they've done lately. The Detroit Red Wings. They've been able to beat Vegas at home, and they beat Buffalo, but this is still a team that's only 2-8 in their last 10, that lost at Columbus, twice at Washington, at Ottawa, and at Carolina. They have not shown me an ability to go on the road, beat somebody good. And that's the stumbling block for me. Alex, what do you think here? Red Wings and Golden Knights.
Yeah, being this is the ABC game, I'll be looking for stuff live. First period over. Like I said, right now you've seen a minus $1.20, $1.25. Try and grab that at plus money, but I think we could see some good pace early in this contest. So that's the one thing I'm looking for. First period over in game, and then just kind of let it roll from there. But like I said, Wings plus 180. Normally would be a spot where you kind of would want to lean and grab them, but right now, especially, more than likely they're going to be going with Talbot and net as opposed to Mrazek as well. That makes me a little cautious also. So just going to rope the first period over in game, and then look to dabble with anything else after that.
You have to remember, too, this is still a 25-7-3 home team for the Vegas Golden Knights. They've been good. And obviously they beat down Boston 5-1, although Boston's really starting to crash out right now if you've watched them play the last few games. You're right, I forgot this is national TV, right? That's why it's 8 o'clock Eastern, you're right? This is the ABC game tonight, no doubt, with oh my gosh. He's off again. No McDonough tonight with Ferraro and Kaplan. Steve Levy doing play-by-play apparently for this game. What did he do? Just this Detroit and Vegas. I'm going to pass on this one. Is that what he did? I don't know. Or is he sick again for the millionth time? Which one is it?
Right.
But yeah,
there's always something with him. Yeah, this year.
I know that's what it's been this year. Yeah, Steve Levy's working with Ferraro and Kaplan, Emily tonight on this one. So interesting. Yeah, but Aiden Hill it looks like is going to be in net here for the Vegas Golden Knights, and we expect Talbot here for the Detroit Red Wings in this one. So like I said, yeah, I'm off this game right now, and it might stay that way. As far as props, though, I'll just throw out a couple for those interested here. As far as we've got Dorofeyev is definitely the one I would look at for Vegas. He's been just piping hot with the production lately, no doubt about it for them. Scored in the last game. I wouldn't overthink it for Detroit. Dylan Larkin is the one guy, and Casper, the friendly betting ghost, has shown some pulse again offensively lately. Those would be some props I would give consideration to here in this one. All right, Seattle and Edmonton. We've got Edmonton minus 155, minus 160 home favorites in this game. The total 6 shaded to the under in this one. You know what's hilarious about this line? I obviously we all heard the news, most of us anyway. If you're if you pay attention and you stay on the beam and you keep focused on injury news and that, you obviously heard that Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are not going to play tonight for Edmonton in this game, and they're going to be out for at least a week, according to Chris Knobloch. So this is going to be a significant little absence for them. And look, you have to adjust when you're talking those two guys. These are because there's no playoff success coming to the Edmonton Oilers in any way, shape, or form if those two guys aren't healthy and available for this team in April and beyond. So if there's any concerns about the health of Draisaitl and McDavid, you've got to shut them down right now. Chris Knobloch and the coaching staff, and probably the GM, Stanley Bowman, probably has a little say in it as well. To shut them down right now and basically, get them healthy, because you don't need them playing through it right now in the meandering end of the regular season and getting themselves hurt even more and risking their playoff health even more. Like if you're Edmonton right now, would you love to finish second in the Pacific for home ice in the first round against possibly LA again? Of course. Would you like to maybe move up and win the division? You're still only 3 behind Vegas in the Pacific for first. Of course. But you're not doing that and at the risk of your top 2 players, your be-all, end-all players' health. You're just not. So this is the right call here. Now, I jumped on Seattle right away, and I got plus 145 on it. And I thought, this has got to move because McDavid and Draisaitl are out. The betting markets have done a collective yawn to this news because this line has barely budged. It's moved 5 measly cents since this news came out. And that pretty much tells you what people think of Seattle right now. That's the reality of it. Yeah, we want to fade Edmonton maybe tonight without McDavid and Draisaitl. But do we trust Seattle? The Seattle Kraken have obviously had a disappointing season. They're coming off, obviously, the shutout loss against the Minnesota Wild on Wednesday night, 4-0 in that game. We'll see how they fare. It is a system play, obviously. So I am going to take the over by Fecta here, even without Draisaitl and McDavid. I am going to take the system play, including, of course, as JD's mentioned often in our chat, and again, how great the Kraken overs have been off a loss when Kraken lost the previous game. So I do like the over by Fecta. I will bet that here in this game. Seattle coming off the shutout. Edmonton's gone over in 2 straight. And I'll say this, even when they didn't have Draisaitl against Winnipeg in that 4-3 overtime loss, and they lost McDavid during the game, and yet they're still generating offense. You still got Zach Hyman. Nuge Hopkins is going to get a bigger role on this team. You hope Jeff Skinner is going to get a bigger opportunity, and I think he's worth a look as far as a goal prop tonight. Someone that's capable of stepping up with the increased ice time and opportunity. And Skinner scored in that last game against Winnipeg. Zach Hyman goals in back-to-back games. You've seen guys like Victor Arvidsson, start to get it going. for the Edmonton Oilers as well. So those are a couple of props that I'm interested in here in this game. Hyman, 2-game point streak. Skinner, Nurse, and Wallman, all for Edmonton on a point streak as well. So those are all looks for me that I'm interested in for props. But so I bet Seattle, thinking this line was going to, I'm stuck now because I took Seattle plus 145 thinking this line's got to move. No McDavid and Draisaitl. I was thinking it would be closer to even money or at least down to Edmonton minus 120. It hasn't. So I either have to stick with Seattle and trust them or maybe get out of this. I'll probably stick with it for now. You know, you got to hope Seattle show a little pride, man. You got shut out the last game. You've had 2 days off. You know, you're talking about an Edmonton team that is without the two guys that carry them for the most part, season after season. You know, so I'm going to stick with it for now, plus 140, Seattle in this game, over by Fecta as well. And then a few props I like. And another prop I like, too, is a man that used to be with the Oilers, who's actually played pretty well lately for Seattle, Jordan Eberle. See if he can maybe light the lamp tonight for the Seattle Kraken in this one. Alex, what do you think here? Seattle, Edmonton.
Yeah, so I was looking on FanDuel the other day after the news of, like I said, Draisaitl and McDavid being out for week to week, it says. And then looking at, you can get plus 158 for the Oilers to be eliminated in the first round right now. That's something I would probably grab because we could see them more than likely if they end up match up against LA. This may be where, we see a price where they're laying $1.20, $1.10. So I'm going to grab that plus 158 today as we log off. But this game is one I'm going to wait for with over by Fecta. Yes, we know Seattle has been a great team off of a loss with the overs. We know Edmonton's been a great first period over team. But like I said, with circumstances being drastically different with Edmonton's offense, it's one thing if you're missing just McDavid or just Draisaitl, next man up mentality. We've seen them play very well in those spots, but to miss both, that's a little different. So this is one I want to wait and see before I jump in on anything.
Yeah, I totally get that, no doubt. But when I start to see, this happen, and we're shutting things down with our easily, it's not even close. It's Connor, it's Leon, and then it's a huge drop off to the next best player on the Edmonton Oilers. Yep. That's how spectacular those two guys are. So when you start to hear we got to shut them down for a week, and you know what's scary from what Chris Knobloch said yesterday? They're out for probably at least a week, and we got to do some more evaluation as to what's going on here with these two injuries. That's not something you want to hear.
Good. Not
good. Not at all. So, yeah, alarming times right now for the Edmonton Oilers for sure. Upon hearing that, less than a month before, obviously, the Stanley Cup playoffs begin. Goaltending for this game, I'll just mention it. Stuart Skinner going to be in net here for the Edmonton Oilers, and Joey Decord expected here for the Seattle Kraken in this one. And like I said, no McDavid, no Draisaitl. Stevenson's the only questionable right now for the Seattle Kraken. But like I said, very fascinating that here's two of the best players, the two best players by far on the Oilers, two of the best players in the sport, in the world right now, out for the Oilers, and a collective groan from the betting markets because this price has barely budged, since yesterday. So you're right. There's skepticism out there regarding the Seattle Kraken's ability to take advantage here tonight. All right, next up, we've got Boston and San Jose. Final game of this monster Saturday slate. We've got Boston minus 130, road favorites. The total here sitting at 6, shaded to the under in this game. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'd rather have San Jose than Boston, but do I bet it? I don't know. I don't know. Boston's crashing, man. They're crashing hard. They're crashing fast. And they're starting to look like the team that traded away their captain, traded away Trent Frederick, traded away Charlie Coyle, traded away one of their best defensemen and Brandon Carlo at the trade deadline. They're finally starting to play that way right now, the Boston Bruins entering this game. Swayman and Georgiev are projected as the goaltenders. Neither one is confirmed as of yet. I may be an over here. 3 of the last 4 have gone over. They've given up 20 goals in the last 4 games, this Boston Bruins team, during this 4-game losing streak. 6 to Ottawa, 6 to Tampa, 5 to Vegas. They even gave up 3 in a loss to the Buffalo Sabres, obviously, on to end the homestand. So their defense has kind of fallen on hard times. The only concern would be, San Jose's not really scoring. Other than the 4-2 win against Chicago, at home. This team has scored 2 goals or less in 4 of the last 5 games. That being said, when it's a team that's not making the playoffs on one side and a team that's not making the playoffs on the other side, I expect defense to be lacking. I don't expect shot blocking to be there, necessarily. So I'm still very interested in over 6 here, Bruins and Sharks. Sidewise, it's tough. I would lean San Jose, but I'm telling you what, San Jose's not showing me a ton right now. Not showing me enough that on a huge card like this, let's take San Jose. Yeah, that's not where I'm at right now. So maybe I get there with over 6. That would be about it for me. Alex, what do you think here? Bruins, Sharks.
This game is a pass for me. Late night game. I'll more likely be watching basketball at this point. So it's a pass.
If you decide to just pop it on for a few seconds, Judd Surratt or Randy Hahn?
Judd Surratt. No question. No question at all. Yeah.
You, of course, is an old friend of yours because you did the Chicago Wolves.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah.
Back in the day. Yeah, no doubt. That's just being funny. We all knew what the answer was going to be. So
yeah.
Asked it anyway. No doubt. All right. There you have it. That's it. That is the Saturday card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. We appreciate it very much. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. We'll have to, like I said, this is a great card. We are already underway with the first game, Vancouver and the New York Rangers. They just dropped the puck. So a great Saturday of NHL action and big-time playoff implications as well. So very much looking forward to the rest of the day, no doubt. You know what we're also looking forward to? We are looking forward to the Betcast on Tuesday night. It's been a while, but finally we're back in the Betcast cave, if you will, on Tuesday night. March the 25th, this Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Patreon exclusive Ice Guys Live Betcast, which means the only way to join us on this Betcast and watch it live is to be a Patreon member. Make sure you sign up and subscribe, just $10 per month, patreon.com/Ice Guys. And this is the right time to be signing up if you're not on board already. The Betcast volume is going to go up significantly, especially for the Patreon members in April and beyond. We're going to go with probably a 3-to-1 ratio every month moving forward, where we could have upwards of 4 Betcasts per month, but 3 of them are going to be Patreon exclusive, and we'll just have the one free-for-all, a monthly Betcast. So again, the majority of the Betcasts are going to be for Patreon members for the rest of the season. So again, make sure you get on board so that you can join us for these Betcasts, as well as, of course, all the other bonus content, goalie charts, totals charts, the daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day. We will get some more Ice Guys player suite stuff going, but I'm telling you what, these players that we've got on the radar for doing some shows, it's been hard to pin them down and get them get availability from them. So, but we will. Certainly it'll be more of a spring and summer thing. The player suite will once again be Patreon exclusive to our members. So make sure you check it all out, all that bonus content, including all the exclusive Patreon Ice Guys Live Betcasts coming your way. $10 per month. Your subscription obviously goes a long way to helping us and supporting the show. So make sure you subscribe. $10 per month. Get on board for the rest of the regular season and the playoffs over at patreon.com/Ice Guys.
And also check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. You got 4 days left for free standard shipping on all orders. So go to the page, hit the redeem button at the top of the homepage, put all your items in your cart, and free standard shipping will be available for you to at checkout. I know there's some stuff that is still kind of low on certain sizes. A lot of the hoodies, we're kind of down to maybe it's a couple sizes, but everything else is still fully in stock, all the new merch as well. So check that out. 4 days left, free standard shipping. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
There you go. Make sure you check it out. Check out the Ice Guys store. Get yourself some gear as the warm weather approaches. iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgater Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. Get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com. All right. Bargain bin special of the night. I don't think we have enough games to choose from today. Ha, ha, ha. Alex, bargain bin special. What do you got?
Yeah, let's go with that Hawks St. Louis game. I'm going with a Blues player. He's cashed for you many times in the bargain bin special. Dylan Holloway. We're going to go with him to get 2 or more points. Plus 320 available at FanDuel. He says it's a big game for St. Louis. Every game is big for them. And we've seen them feast on the Hawks and certainly Soderblom as well. So I think we could see Dylan Holloway to get at least 2 or more points. Plus 320. That is my Saturday bargain bin special.
All right. Good stuff there. Dylan Holloway. For the St. Louis Blues. Holloway, one of my favorites, but not the goal prop, over 1.5 points for Alex B. Smith for his bargain bin special of the night. All right, my bargain bin special of the night, I'm just going to make sure he is in the range. I think he is, but barely. Let me just check. He was earlier. Let's see if he still is. Whew. Not at many spots, but at FanDuel he is barely. He hits it right on the nose at plus 300. And to get plus 300 on a guy that is scoring like he is, he's found chemistry. He's on that top line now. He's scored in 3 straight games for the New York Islanders. Simon Holmstrom. There you have it. Simon Holmstrom plus 300 for me with my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you like here for best bet?
Yeah, let's give you 2. Because I like one that's about to start within the top of the hour. Dallas team total over 3.5 minus 125. I think that's a fantastic spot, even up to 130. I think that's great with the way Phillies are playing, their lack of defense, I should say. Dallas should feast in that one. But then the night slate, we'll look at that over 1.5 minus 130 with the Habs and Colorado. It's in Montreal 9-3. To the last 12 games to the first period over, so that's a decent price there. So we'll go Dallas Stars team total over 3.5 minus 125 in the daytime, and we'll go Avs Habs first period over 1.5 minus 130 at the nighttime on Saturday.
Good stuff there. I'm going to give you a couple overs for best bets. 2 overs, one for the afternoon slate, one for the evening slate. Chicago St. Louis over 5.5 minus 110. 4 straight full game overs, 6 straight first period overs, but we'll go with the full game over here at 5.5. Blackhawks Blues over 5.5 minus 110. And then my nighttime over is going to be Seattle Edmonton. I think it's an overreaction without McDavid and Dry. I think Edmonton can still score on this Seattle team, even without those guys in the lineup, especially with Hyman producing the way he is. Arvidsson stepped up for them. Obviously, you got guys like Perry and old man Perry and like I said, Arvidsson's been heating up. Hyman's been great. It's Skinner, scored the last game. And I think Seattle will score on Edmonton too in this one. And the total's only 5.5. Kraken have been strong over team off a loss as well. And it's a system play. Seattle off which has not been great lately, but it is still the system play with Seattle off a shutout loss. So 2 overs for best bets. One in the afternoon, one in the evening. Chicago, St. Louis over 5.5. Seattle, Edmonton over 5.5 for my best bets for this Saturday card. Shout out to everyone in the chat at the like button. We appreciate it very much. And a reminder, we're back tomorrow on Sunday. Betcast, Patreon exclusive Tuesday night Make sure you're joining us there for that and get on board for $10 per month at patreon.com/Ice Guys to join us for that betcast on Tuesday night. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back with you tomorrow on Sunday, noon Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.